Strength comes in many different forms. Just like beauty's in the eye of the beholder, so is strength. So many different ways to describe strength, whether it's the flexible person with the ability to fold like clothes or the powerlifter that can deadlift 500 pounds. It's all subjective to the practice you subscribe to. In fact, if you ask me, strength is all these things. Strength is when you dedicate years to a practice that elevates you. Strength is resilience to a practice, even when it gets hard to show up. Achieving proficiency in something that challenges you is strength. The dedication to something that builds you up physically, spiritually, and mentally is the strength you need to endure, not only in the training room, but in your everyday life. So carry on with strength, no matter how and where your strength comes from. Another one, episode 3 of the Primal Warrior podcast.
Main man Q, behind the scenes.
Yeah, back like we never left. So for today, how'd you like the training? What'd you think about it?
That training was fucking awesome. I really liked that last split, or that the last 3 sets of what we did with the sled. I like the way you do slow, methodical, and then you come back and now it's time to go. You gotta sprint this shit out. You gotta actually move with a sense of purpose.
Just some context for the people, the kind of programming I'm on right now. One is a lot of landmine work that I'm doing. I just been into it's called the Landmine University philosophy or training system. It's pretty much a bunch of landmine exercises, but what I like about those the most is Olympic lifts are great for your power output, but it's the hardest thing to teach another athlete. So
but it's also coordination. It's also getting your body to as soon I don't even know what the fuck it's called.
The coil
here you get what I'm saying, where you're lifting and then pressing, the clean and press version that you had me do last time. Man, so with that, it's understanding getting your body to move that way, but then explosive energy to you know what I'm saying.
So it's called a coiled concept. So if you ever looked at a coil, right? It's like a spiral, right? A spiral. So with a slinky, the more you coil it and then you release it, it just explodes, right? So it's that kind of concept of elongation and compression on one side, and then you just transfer the energy to the other side. You know what I'm saying? But another thing that I'm on is also the knees over toes kind of thing, where it's you elevate the heels and work on the VMO with the slant boards and Jefferson curls, and then a lot of sled work as well with backpedaling, because backpedaling is another way to strengthen the knees.
Yeah, I feel until you told me hey, let's start doing back pedals or whatever else. I don't think it's something that anyone really thinks of doing, because you're either thinking of pushing, maybe you pull, right? Where you just stand and you pull, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to keep your hands either at your side or however as you backpedal backwards, unless you're some kind of football athlete or whatever else, I don't think it's a common movement. I don't know, maybe, you get what I'm saying? I don't see a whole lot of people doing that on their own.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. But another thing too, because we train hard, don't get it twisted, but another thing is that we like to make sure we bulletproofing the body and making sure we're working imbalances and making sure we're bringing up these imbalances, because again, our objective is longevity on the mats, longevity in our martial art practice, because we all know how beneficial it is to
you don't want to be 40 something and be oh, I can't do this or I can't do that, and don't get me wrong, injuries happen, but doing things like this where you're being proactive about your recovery and just taking care of your joints especially, I think that's gonna in long, or make your martial art career, or just your health in general, it's gonna make it longer. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you something. Do you feel like you have a relationship with your body where you're all right, maybe today let me dial it back and work on some things that are maybe on the yin side of the spectrum, more like let me focus on a little bit more mobility work, or let me focus on.
Dude, absolutely. So before you introduced me, because honestly, you were the dude that introduced me into mobility, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's days, like maybe 3 days a week,
Yeah.
where I stay away from weights. I stay away from, where I basically stay away from like heavy weight or just weights in general, or like sleds or anything.
Yeah.
Anything that has to do with carrying, pushing, lifting weight, right?
Yeah.
And all I do is body weight shit, right? So either body movement, right? Mobility work, and just little things like that, like getting into a position and just stretching out a little bit and just kind of like, okay, focusing on my breathing a little bit more. And I feel like it's helped me become even more explosive, even more, improve my strength more, improve my like endurance more. Because before that, like you gave me a workout one day. This is like, I think towards the beginning, right? When we first started, where you gave me a workout to do on my own. And I looked at it and I was like, man, this is so fucking simple. Like, this is so small. Like, where's the rest of the workout? And I was like, all right, I'm not going to question what he's got to sit. Like, I'm like, this is what he's telling me to do. Fuck it. I trust him. I'm going to do this, right? And then at the end of that workout, I think I texted you and I was like, dude, it's so simple.
Yeah.
But it's so profound in a way because of the results that I had, like how I felt afterwards. Mm-hmm. And like I have this Apple Watch. I don't know how accurate it is with counting calories or whatever else, but I burned just as much as I would have, or a little bit less than what I would have in a regular workout. And it was only like 30, maybe 45 minutes long. Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy shit, like what? Like, I don't know, because at the beginning, I used to think like, oh, I have to go hard all the time. Like there's no, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was getting injured a lot. I was like, not serious injuries, but those nagging little things, like where I rolled my ankle and then I fucking, hyperextended my leg or my elbow or whatever. And then I started doing mobility work, and now, unless you're rolling with certain people, you're not getting injured. Like I feel stronger, I feel healthier, and my joints feel better.
Nice.
So like, this is a really long, drawn out answer to your question, but
because the reason I asked that is because we're preaching like you have time. When people make the excuse like they don't got time, but it's about
don't give me stuff.
It's just about making that time to do these little things, right? Because again, it's these little things on top of these little things on top of these little things that eventually lead to that full, that grandiose. Just putting it all together, and we don't want to mislead the people thinking that we're just going balls to the walls and we don't have like this this intelligence within ourselves to listen to our body.
What did we do last Wednesday was when we did the sprints, right?
Yeah, we did some sprints.
It was no more than a 35-minute workout.
Yeah.
And we were smoked, right?
Yeah, that was more on the high end,
Right, but when we're in here doing an hour and change, right, of constant work with weights and movement and this and that, right? We got the same, or not the same, like they're working two different things, right? But with the sprint work, like you're still able to put in quality work. It's not the quantity that we're after, right? Like you can have quantity of anything, but does that mean it's all quality? You know what I'm saying?
100%.
But to touch on what you said before, right? Like, I don't have time.
Yeah.
Bro, how many times have you heard that? How many times do you hear somebody, oh, I want to work out, but I just don't have the time. I want to train, I just don't have the time. I want to fucking read this book, I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
I can't stand that shit.
To be honest with you, I really don't hear it, because when they do say it, I think my ears just kind of like block it out.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, I just don't hear it. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's all
like we don't even speak that language. Like,
yeah, because even do you feel like time is a concept? Like even
I think so.
It's all like like you gotta fit certain things in a certain amount of time, instead of it just being like it's hard to conceptualize, right? But like, let me explain, right? Let's say like there's only a person that can 2 times a week make it into the gym. They might not feel like that's enough, right? Because it's not enough work for like a short-term goal. Right. But like I say, that person says, this is not a short-term goal. This is a goal I had for a year. So even those two workouts consistently over a span of a year will get them to that goal, right? And let's say there's a guy that trains 5 times a week, but he's going balls to the wall and he gets injured and now he's out for like 3 weeks. And then that's kind of like the pattern that he's in. So there's no.
And then it ends up evening out at the end.
Right? So is that a concept, right? Is that like, you know, are people rushing to the finish line? Dude, or they don't have like the vision to see consistency over a long span of period of time, you know, time.
So like we're talking about, I feel from what you're saying, I feel like we're talking about 3 different things. We're talking about like time and prioritizing and just being and, you know, doing what you want to do towards your overall goal, right?
Yeah.
And making the time to make sure you get here. So you're backwards planning, right? So you have this goal for a year from now. In order to get there, what do you need to do consistently throughout that year to get there, right?
Yeah.
And then you're backwards planning and saying like, okay, that means I have to do it this often for this long, and I have to do this no matter what. No matter what comes up, this must get done, right?
Yeah.
But then on the other end, we're also talking about, you know, being able to prioritize and at the same time remaining balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I just feel like we're talking about a lot of different things all in the same scope.
Because it's such a broad concept that do you get what I'm trying to say, Quinn? Is it like kind of like out there? With the concept of time that I'm trying to explain, like being like
I totally know what you mean. I mean, with time,
consistency.
People try to put themselves in a box with time all the time, and I used to be an I don't have time ass person, but the bottom line for me is like if you want to do something, like I don't have time isn't really an excuse. You'll make the time and you'll find it. Like
even if it's like a week later or something like that, where you get to it, but it's you gotta just make up your mind that this is something that gotta get done, and then. You know, you'll make the time when you can, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody is juggling shit.
If it's important to you, you'll figure it out whether it's now, tomorrow, next week, next month.
I think he just hit it on the head, Q. Because if it's important to you, and it's also urgent to you, you're gonna make and find a way to get it done, right?
If you don't have time, it's not important.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact.
Dude, so like there's a saying that like, hey, you know, people don't have time, they make time. Right? For the shit that's actually important, for the shit that actually matters to them, right? So think of like how many times someone hits you up or whatever else, like, oh man, I don't have the time to call that person. I don't have the time. It's not that they don't have the time. It's just that they don't have the sense of urgency to make that time for whatever it is, right? It could be to call you, it could be whatever. Mm-hmm. You look like you got something to say.
Yeah, I do. It's just like, you know how they say like time is money?
Time is money.
Time is money, but then
investment.
money is currency, right? Money is energy, right? So it comes back to like, people don't have time, people create time because in essence, time is a form of energy. So it's like you create energy. So it's about being in align with creativity. As long as you align with creativity and you're trying to get better, you'll create the energy, which will lead to the time, which will eventually equate to the money. So it's all this cycle of energy. You know what I feel like
it's time can be energy. Time is an investment, and I forgot the last one. I had 3.
I mean, time could definitely be a currency too, because you're wasting your time,
right?
You're wasting their money. You could be fucking up the bag.
Yeah.
So currency, right? So currency, energy. What the fuck was that? What did I say?
Time.
And investment, right? So investment, currency, and energy, right?
Yeah.
So when you spend time doing something, right? Like we're already saying, like I don't want to, or I want to spend, right? Like you're going to use it in some sense of fashion, right?
You're not gonna get it back.
You're not getting it back. But what you do get back is your either A, the return on investment of the time that you put into something, or B, the energy that you reciprocate back from the time that you spent, right?
Yeah.
And then the currency is the time that you do something, it can generate an opportunity for you, right? So one thing that I have, like for me is, don't create excuses, create opportunities, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with time. Don't say that you don't have time. Create the time and opportunity to do whatever it is that you want to do. Everybody got shit going on at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? But how do we manage and how do we balance the time that we have in the day? So I got a question for you, right? And it kind of ties into energy, I feel, right? But do you think as warriors that we get depressed?
Yeah, I mean, let's even break down the word of the word depression, right? And depression, the opposite of depression is expression, right? So when you express, your energy is expressive. You're expressing your energy, whether it's through filming, whether it's through working out, whether it's through jujitsu, you're expressing. So when we become depressed, it's kind of like our energy goes within. And there's nothing wrong with being depressed, because sometimes that part of depression is you just recharging. And you just gotta accept that depression, you know what I'm saying? You gotta accept that time down, and just know that, again, it ties back to like the conversations we had before, that these emotions are all fickle, like they come and go, and you gotta maybe not try to force yourself out of depression, and just for some time maybe accept it and just know that this is part of like everything is cyclical, right? Like even we have 4 seasons, we experienced 4 seasons. We're going into fall now, which is the harvest season, and then it's gonna be the winter. And what happens in the winter time? It kind of gets a little depressing, right? That's why they say people in Alaska have the highest rate of suicide, because they spend so much time. Yeah, because 6 months out of the year in Alaska is dark. So that's a more depressive way just being, for a longer period of time. So now we're coming into winter. We only experience it for maybe like 3 months, and then we're out of it. Like when the 4 months, like 4 or 5 months.
I was about to say, what PA you living in?
But what happens in the springtime when you hear the birds chirping? It just puts life into you.
I feel like, dude, so it's like it's just another part of the cycle of life. Like you have the beginning, you have that like honeymoon stage, that the birth, right? And you're just starting to, you're excited about shit, blah, blah, and then you have like the summer and where you're grinding and, you're able to experience things and do shit. Yeah. And in the fall, you're kind of like dwindling down a little bit. You're starting to, focus inward a little bit maybe, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the winter where it's like the end, right? Or not the end, but, that sounds dramatic, but.
Yeah,
it's part of the cycle.
You know what I'm saying? It's part of the cycle. It's part of the cycle. And actually, I got what I was gonna say back before it came back to me. It's like also like when energy, right? When you expend that energy, accepting that time down, but understanding that some people don't want to make the investment because they feel like they're not gonna get that back, right? It's not gonna be a return in the investment. You know what I'm saying? So they're afraid to let that energy go. Like, what if it doesn't work? What if it But you gotta understand, like, energy, it just comes back around. It's like the boomerang, right? Like, as long as you're putting your time and your energy in things that are gonna bring back to you. So like, it's like your health, right? The vessel, right? Like your body. I like to think of the body as like an antenna, right? The clearer and more healthier it is, the more able you are to receive messages, because you're the antenna is upright, right? Yeah. It's upright, but because it's clear. But if there's a lot of shit going on, you're not living right, you drinking too much or whatever the case may be, eating bad foods all the time, what ends up happening is the antenna becomes static. So you're not receiving, and that's where people feel that fogginess, and they don't feel like they have that clarity to, act on some goals.
I like the way you articulate that, man.
On some shit,
I like the way you articulate that, because it's true, man. Like a lot of what we bring in and a lot of what we do is gonna, kind of throw us off or keep us on the right track. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But man, that's money, right? Like it's so simple and yet so profound, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so we're finding the sweet spot here for the kind of format that we want to do, and we decided we are gonna do more like, it's like quick hitters, like right to the point. We just gonna hit them, put it right, So hopefully, you guys found some value in that convo. Me and Jamie just wrapped up a workout here early in the morning, top of the morning.
Top of the morning.
So,
Q hit it.
Top of the
I'll see. We'll check up with you guys next week.
Yes, sir.
It was good rapping with you, my brother.